This was the most interesting moment in an otherwise dull debate.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me, you told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get in the middle of it. I just want to say hi, Bernie.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Now here's the backstory. Right before the debate, the Warren campaign put out a story that said in 2018, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren had a private meeting in which he said he didn't think a woman was qualified to become president of the United States. Not too surprisingly, it came up pretty quickly in the debate.
Let's not turn to an issue that's come up in the last 48 hours. Senator Sanders. CNN reported yesterday that, and Senator Warren confirmed in a statement, that in 2018, you told her that you did not believe that a woman could win the election. Why did you say that?
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. And I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on this because this is what Donald Trump and maybe some of the media want. Anybody knows me, knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman could not be president of the United States. Go to YouTube today. There's a video of me 30 years ago talking about how a woman could become president of the United States. In 2015, I deferred, in fact, to Senator Warren. There was a movement to draft Senator Warren to run for president. And you know what? I stayed back. Senator Warren decided not to run, and I did run afterwards.
Senator Sanders, I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Now the moderator basically denied what Bernie Sanders said, turned to Warren and asked Warren the question as if Bernie Sanders, in fact, had said what he just denied having said.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed. Bernie is my friend, and I am not here to try to fight with Bernie.
Now, rather than say Bernie Sanders, senator, denies what you accused him of saying, she said, basically, he said it. Michael Moore, a Bernie Sanders supporter, was not happy.
To be honest, the night that happened, my first thought was they will mark this day, January 13th, as the day Donald Trump was reelected. Because once again, the Democrats, the liberals, the left, couldn't get it together, couldn't figure out, instead of so happy to get right in there and fight each other like this. And I'm like, when are we ever going to learn? This is on us. This is not on the Russians. It's not on the Republicans. It's on the Democratic Party for not getting its act together and not using its head.
Well, now the folks over at CNN and MSNBC have already decided who's telling the truth.
I think Bernie's lying. We see him, he slouches forward anyway, Joy, but here he turtles. If you look at his eye level where he normally answers questions, when he makes the denial, his whole shoulders come up like a little kid getting caught.
Sanders, look, a lot of it's personal preference. I didn't think his answer vis-a-vis Elizabeth Warren and what was said in that conversation was particularly good. He was largely dismissive. Well, I didn't say it. Everybody knows I didn't say it. We don't need to talk about it.
And we all know that Warren has an impeccable record for credibility. Recall the recent stories she's given about why she lost her job after she got, quote, visibly pregnant.
I was visibly pregnant. And the principal did what principals did in those days. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. I was visibly pregnant. And the principal did what principals did in those days. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. I was visibly pregnant. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. I was visibly pregnant. Wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. I was visibly pregnant. He wished me luck and hired someone else for the job. So this was my first job. And I was teaching, I was the speech therapist for mostly special needs kids age 4 to 6. And I loved the work. I loved the kids. I worked well with the parents, and it was everything I hoped it would be. And then in the spring of my first year, in April, my contract was renewed for the next year, and I was all set to go. But I was pregnant at the time, wasn't showing yet, About 2 months later, when I was visibly pregnant, about 6 months along, the principal called me in and said that he wished me luck, but he'd be more comfortable having someone else in that job, and he was going to hire someone else for the job. And that was it. I lost my job.
But that ain't what she told in an interview back in 2007.
And my first year post graduation, I worked, it was in a public school system, but I worked with the children with disabilities. And I did that for a year. And then that summer, I actually didn't have the education courses, so I was on an emergency certificate, it was called. And I went back to graduate school and took a couple of courses in education and said, I don't think this is going to work out for me. And I was pregnant with my first baby. So I had a baby and stayed home for a couple of years. And I was really casting about, thinking, what am I going to do? And my husband's view of it was, stay home. You know, we have children, we'll have more children. You'll love this.
The question is, Frau Helm, were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
And what about the pro-charter school mom who confronted Warren and accused Warren of educating her kids in private schools? Warren denied it.
We gonna have the same choice that you make for your kids, because I read that your children went to private school.
My children went to public school.
But it turns out Warren did have a child educated in private school. Here's what factcheck.org said. Warren's son, Alexander, attended at least 2 private college preparatory schools, according to articles from conservative outlets that wrote about her claim. We could not independently confirm which private schools he attended, and the campaign didn't disclose them. End of quote. And of course, for decades, she claimed she was a Native American.
I am not a person of color. I am not a citizen of a tribe. When I first ran for public office, the first time was in 2012, and the Republicans honed in on this part of my history and thought they could make a lot of hay out of it. A lot of racial slurs and a lot of ugly stuff that went on. And so my decision was, I'm just going to put it all out there.
How long did you hold on to that? Because there was some report that said you were a Native American on your Texas bar license, and that you said you were a Native American on some documents when you were a professor at Harvard. Like, why'd you do that?
So it's what I believe. You know, that's, like I said, it's what I learned from my family.
When did you find out you weren't?
Well, you know, I'm not a person of color. I'm not a citizen of a tribe. And tribal citizenship is an important distinction, and not something I am.
Laws in gain!
But now the plot thickens. You see, after the debate, Bernie Sanders attempted to shake Elizabeth Warren's hand, and she wasn't having it.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Now you notice Tom Steyer, the late entrant billionaire, was standing right there. What did he hear them say?
I want to show this video that occurred at the end of the debate. You sort of ended up in the middle of this, I don't know, by chance or what. What was that like? What occurred there? It's obviously already being talked about quite a lot.
Look, I was just going up to say good night, Senator Sanders. And I felt like, okay, there's something going on here. Good night, I'm out of here.
Wow. Now, as my grandfather used to say, never get caught between the fire hydrant and the dog. But think about this. What would have happened had she extended her hand and he didn't shake her hand? Are you kidding me? Sexist? His campaign would have been over, but the other way around, not a problem. Now, let me tell you what I think probably happened in that 2018 private conversation between the two of them. Sanders probably said something to the effect of, look, I'm the one who ought to be running as a hard left guy. Get out of the race. And she probably interpreted that as, You don't think a woman can win. After all, this is a woman who has been a professional victim. First, she's a Native American, then she lost her job because she was pregnant, and then she claimed all her kids were educated in public school. She has a long history of being a victim. She probably filtered what he said through her mind into, you don't think a woman can win. That's what victims do. Finally, there are at least 3 good answers that Bernie Sanders could have given Warren when Warren accused him of calling her a liar on national TV. Option 1.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
No, I did call you a liar on national TV. Option number 2.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Don't worry, Liz. This is CNN. Nobody's watching. Option number 3.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
No, Liz. That was international TV. I'm Larry Elder, and this has been The Larry Elder Show. I'll see you next time.